Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studio in Atlanta, Georgia. It's time for Atlanta Business Radio. Brought to you by Kennesaw State University's Executive MBA program, the accelerated degree program for working professionals looking to advance their career and enhance their leadership skills. And now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Atlanta Business Radio, and this is going to be a good one. But before we get started, it's important to recognize our sponsor, KSU's Executive MBA program. Without them, we couldn't be sharing these important stories. Today on Atlanta Business Radio, we have Ramzi Daklouche with VR Business Sales Atlanta. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Lee. I appreciate the invite and I appreciate being on your show.
Well, I'm excited to learn what you're up to. Tell us about your firm. How you serving folks?
Absolutely. Thank you. So we are, at VR Business Sales Atlanta, we're a brokerage firm dedicated to helping business owners and entrepreneurs achieve their goals. Whether they're looking to sell a business, explore new ventures, or get an expert valuation. We have over 20 years of hands-on experience. Our team at Business Sales Atlanta provides full service support at every stage, from valuation, strategic marketing, negotiation, and even closing. We are committed to transparency, which actually sets us apart. We offer clients a real-time dashboard to track every step of the process. We work with a diverse client base, both locally and globally, delivering trusted expert guidance with a personal touch to make every transaction smooth and secure.
So what percentage of your business is helping someone sell a business and what percent is helping someone buy a business?
Oh, I think on this, the question is how many times we help buyers versus sellers.
Well, I'm just trying to get an idea of, in your business on a weekly basis, are you helping more people buy businesses or are you helping more people sell businesses?
I'm helping more people sell businesses. I think it's about 80-20. 80% are selling businesses, 20% are looking to buy a business, with an idea in mind of what they're looking for.
So if somebody comes to you to sell their business, what does that conversation look like? I would imagine most entrepreneurs think their business is worth more than what it is on the market.
Yeah, you'll be right, Lee. I mean, it's interesting because we get both. My favorite ones are where they really don't know the value of their business and they think it's a lot lower. And I've had that lately where they end up in a hug, actually, because they believe that their business is worth X amount, ends up being X plus amount, and ends up selling. And I have very good examples of that. But yeah, a lot of businesses, especially been around for a long time in the service industry, they tend to think their business is worth a lot more than it is right now. And this is where I really believe in valuations early on in the business, regardless if you're ready to sell or not, is to get a valuation on your business and understand where your business sits right now. So then you can decide if you want to grow it or sell it.
So what are some of the components of a valuation? Is it just strictly how much money are you making, or are there other factors?
Oh, no. There's a lot more factors, and we take somebody who understands valuations to kind of do this, business valuator, and we can also do certified valuation. But in a nutshell, we take what revenues they make, plus net profit, and then add back anything that the owner uses. For example, if they have personal car, if they have depreciation, if they have interest, amortization, all this gets added back. Some one-time purchases they made may be added back. So cash flow is what we call and we look at, and then and that's the add back from everything. So net profit by itself is not really a good indicator what the business value is. There's a lot more to it than that.
Now, how do you work with companies that maybe most of their business is online? So they may not have real estate per se, or they may not have a lot of tangible assets, but they have maybe a website that's been around for a while and has a high page authority, or it has a lot of traffic, or it has some online value. How do you factor that valuation in when you're calculating the business's value?
Yeah, that's a great question. So assets actually include not just tangible assets, intangible assets, right? So we look at stuff like, traffic flow. We look at how many customers they serve. We look at their reputation online. So there's a lot more than just nowadays. Assets are not just brick and mortar and what you have in the back of the warehouse. It's a lot more than that, and that all of it gets calculated in our valuation, and also the business track, right? If it's tracking up, tracking down, or stagnant, we that also goes into the valuation process.
Now, how early is too early to have a conversation with somebody? Because I would imagine every business that starts, it has to end at some point, whether it's through a sale or it just closes. So I would imagine you want to have conversations with business owners all throughout their life cycle, because you never know when it's time to sell.
Yeah, and if you allow me, I'll give you a personal story about that, Lee. So my wife and I started a business during COVID about 4 years ago. And then, from my background, and she was running it. From my background, I always looked at the exit strategy. Anytime I start a business, I look for an exit strategy. So we had an exit strategy 5 years. We said, okay, if we build the business today from zero, in 5 years, here's where we're going to be. And then every year we measure where we are. So for us, we were doing valuations on a regular basis, but we knew we want to exit in 5 years. And valuation happens every year. And before we do our strategy for the next year, we know where the valuation is. For example, let's say our valuation was $200,000, right? But we're not there yet for the year. So what do we do? What are we doing to get there? Or if we're ahead, okay, are we ahead of our schedule? And because of that, we sold in 4.5 years very successfully. To answer your question straight, never too late to have somebody that knows about valuation helping you as you build your strategy on a regular basis to know what the company is worth today. And if you want to make it $1 million company or $2 million company, and what is it going to take to get there? And then, you have to have the right people around you to do this. And we help people. We do valuations free. So any listener out there wants to do valuation, you can reach out to us. We don't charge anything for valuation. The only time we charge if it's a certified valuation.
So what's the difference between valuation for free and a certified valuation?
Yeah, the process of certified evaluation typically is not for very small businesses. For bigger businesses, lower middle market to middle market, and this really is a valuation that is looks to every part of the business, and also was certified, so you can take it to the bank or get a loan against it, or sometimes for mergers you need certified valuation. So it goes more in detail about every part of the business.
So is this similar to what a person would do? Like they go on Zillow to get an idea of what their house is worth, but then they get a professional kind of evaluate it before it's time to get the loan?
Yeah, this is actually a very good analogy of it. So, and I'll ask a question. If you ask 10 people, hey, do you know the value of your business, your house? You're probably going to get 10 yeses because they probably have been on Zillow, or, Zillow sends them, hey, by the way, the value of your house today is this. In business, it's not the same. If you ask 10 people, maybe one of them may have a slight idea where the business value is, even though it's a second, maybe for some first or largest investment they have. So yeah, it is like that. So if you think of Zillow as your first step, and that's what your point of view, that will be just a broker opinion of values. Very simple way to look at it. If you get a professional appraiser to appraise your house, and the bank approves it, that will be more certified valuation.
Now let's talk a little bit about the people you help. You said 20% of the people you help are someone buying a business. Why would someone buy somebody's business as opposed to either starting their own business or maybe buying a franchise or something along the lines like that? Why would they buy an independent business?
Yeah, very good question, because each one of them has a customer. I spent a lot of my life in the franchise business as well. If each one of them has a question, I think the toughest one usually is starting my own business, unless I know exactly what I'm going to do. I have a market for that already. Starting a business takes time to build up. So you may start a little bit lower, money wise, investment wise, but it'll take time to kind of get to where you want to be. A lot of people buy businesses because they know that there's already a base to that, and they buy to kind of say, hey, I can develop a couple of things. I can change the marketing. I can add a couple of chairs here, whatever it is, to kind of continue to grow the business. So they buy at least some kind of cash flow in the business, and in hopes, and if they have strategy, they build it to more. So that's really the difference between buying new and buying, somebody's business, right? The third one, which is franchising, is so you can buy a system. You're not really having to build system from zero. You already have, operating procedures. You have training. You have all these systems in place, and hopefully the franchise has a reputation, so people come to you because you are ABC franchise and not just independent business.
Now, what is it like when somebody, if they're not using a professional or an expert like yourself, like how do they even exit their business? Like what are they thinking? Like, I don't understand. Like, to me, what you said rang true. Like, as soon as I started a business, I'm thinking about, I have to have a way out of this business. So what is a typical person who's running kind of a small brick and mortar, or, a barber shop or a hardware store, or just some local business, or even, a small ad agency or law firm or dentist? What are they thinking when it's the end of the road? Like, how do they typically exit?
Well, you know what? I think it's a very good question, Lee, and one that puzzles me since I've been in this business. Why do people not really reach out to business brokers? One is knowledge. We don't market as well as real estate agents do, so there's real estate agents everywhere. We're not really that big of community, even though there's a lot of businesses in the U.S., right? So that's one of them. So they don't know about us. The second thing is they believe they know best, which is fine. If you know best, then you have finance background and you can figure out what the value of the business is and go through the process of selling it. But more and more people that I talk to don't know, right? And they're leery about using somebody because, of course, you're professionals, so we get paid for our service, of course, and they don't want to do this. But the more they engage us or engage, a broker, and we are intermediaries, so we really work for the seller most of the time and the buyer. They'll find out that if we give them a valuation, work on the valuation, they'll end up better off selling or have better chance of selling the business than without us at all. So going by themselves, unless you're going to sell it to your cousin or family member or somebody you know or a competitor, you're really better off always using professional. Even if you want to sell it to competitor, you're better off using professional, even just for the valuation, because not every conversation I have ends up with somebody signing a selling agreement, right? I'm be more than happy to help people just because I want to help people. And then if they want to sign up with me, great. But if they don't, at least they know the value of their business.
Now, when they work with you, is it like a residential real estate relationship where the person just gets paid a percentage of whatever the selling price is, or is it with you have to just pay a flat fee? Like how does the financial of this work?
Yeah, it really is like real estate. Where we get success fee based on making sure the business sells. So exactly like real estate.
So it's the same. So there's really not a lot of risk when they're working with you. There's only really upside, because theoretically you're going to be selling it for higher than I would get myself.
Well, yeah, you hope so, right? I mean, that's the intent. I mean, when you're working with a group like ours, you're always going to get the best advice. I don't celebrate just having listings in the books. I celebrate making sure we have a listing that's saleable, right? And that we actually work and do the marketing that we need to make sure we sell the listing. So to answer your question, yes, you get better value from us. Plus, we deal with it from A to Z, so you don't have to deal with the buyer on a regular basis. You don't have to deal with the number of tire kickers. You don't have to deal with answering all the questions, and you don't have to deal with the paperwork, because once the listing is listed and then you have a buyer and then the work really starts, right? To finalize the due diligence between the buyer and the seller to get it through to closing, that takes time and takes a lot of effort. And our team, that's what they specialize in.
So now if I'm ready to sell my business, you mentioned the first thing I have to do is get a valuation. So I have some number that is kind of close to reality of what we're going to put it out to the market with. But are there other steps involved? Because I would imagine if I have employees, it's not something that I'm, shouting from the rafters.
Yeah, so everything we do is confidential. Even when we go to a business, if a business owner want to meet with us, we meet outside or we meet after hours. So to keep it very confidential, because a lot of sensitive stuff when you talk about employees. First, you don't want them to leave, start looking for another job because the business is going to sell. And it's interesting. Lead. One of the first questions I have: how am I going to protect my team? Not, oh, I can't wait to get rid of them. It's how am I going to protect my team, which is very noble of business. Small business owners are very, very thoughtful of their team. So very noble of them to do that. So yeah. So first of all, I don't sign any agreements, selling agreements, unless I have valuation. So we just don't do that. It's easy sometimes to say, all right, we'll sell it for you. Here you go, sign here. Let's do valuation. Let's do this. No, if you and I don't agree on the price, we're not going to sign an agreement. You may have to find somebody else that would agree with you because I'm going to give you the honest truth about what the business is worth and going through the steps of making sure I know what the business is worth. So that's really the first step. Once you sign the agreement, then the actual work starts for us with how to list it, how to market it, what size to go to. Do we need to put it on a site, or is it one of these sales that we just have to call a bigger competitor to buy you out? There's so many tactics and ways to sell a business that our team kind of gets involved in to make sure we finalize the sale.
So you're the one who's making the call. You're the one who's negotiating.
We negotiate to a point. We don't negotiate because usually the seller has a right to refuse or accept an offer, right? So, but we do make sure we give the business, highlight the business to the best of our ability and to the best of the business, right? To make sure that the business shows up properly. So, you mentioned a couple of times real estate. It's just like real estate, Lee. If you want to sell a business, get the business ready to sell, right? So in business, you have a lot of stuff you got to get ready. One of them is your paperwork, your finances, your bills, contracts you have with vendors. All that stuff must be ready to share with the buyer at some point, right? Especially after they finish, especially when they are doing their due diligence. That's the number one thing. Second, if it's a brick and mortar business or even a warehouse, get it cleaned up, get it ready, right? Because if it shows better, it sells better. So not different than a house. And then make sure you don't have any outstanding bills or outstanding liens on your business that would kind of scare away a buyer or actually breaks the sale because you cannot really sell your business because you have liens on it. So just like a house, you got to make sure everything is aligned to sell the business, get your business ready.
But something that is different than a house is you can't put a for sale sign up in front of it, and you can't you're not going to be selling your house. You're not calling people up directly and saying, hey, you live around here, you want to buy this house. Like, you're doing some proactive things to sell the house and not just passive things. Oh,
absolutely. Yeah, I'm completely unlike you're not going to tell somebody to come. You can't put we use a technology to make sure we market the business. So if you're talking about marketing the business, there are well-known sites where you can list business depending on what it is. And, for online businesses, there are some sites. For brick and mortar and service businesses, there are other sites as well. So you got to make sure you market it properly for them. But also, if that's the only thing that the broker depends on, you may have to wait a little bit before a sale. There are other ways you could do it. We, since I started the firm and especially in the past 3 years, we've been really engaged with AI, making sure that we use the latest AI tools from finding buyers to how we list as well. So that really helped our business a lot, but also helped the sellers, spotlight their business the best way possible.
So what happens at the end when there's agreement of the price? Like, is it like a closing? Is it similar, where you're in a room with lawyers and you're signing papers and writing checks?
Yeah, depending on the size of the business, typically if the business is small, let's say less than, $3-4 million, they don't engage, lawyers directly because the process is, similar to closing on a house. So there's one lawyer, the transactional lawyer, does not represent either one of them. That's very familiar with how to write an asset purchase agreement and then finalizing the closing. And if there's a owner's financing or SBA loan financing, they're very well versed on how to deal with that. So one lawyer can suffice and do both. Sometimes it's been more complicated where the buyer has their own lawyer, seller has their own lawyer, and then you have a lawyer that does still transactions. So it just depends on the complexity of the purchase.
So do you have a success story you can share? Don't name the name of the business, but maybe explain how they came to you with their business and how you were able to help them get a successful sale.
Oh, sure. Yeah, there's few. I'll take one that really, for me, success is not by how fast sometimes we sell it, because that's not really as important for me as it is for the seller. But this one, a particular person that had loved the business they're in, just has some personal issues. They could not deal with the managing the business anymore. They want to work in the business, but they don't want to manage it anymore. She found me and she gave me what she would like to get for the business. And through the value, that literally happened just 4 weeks ago, Lee, when I met her first. And through the valuation, it was actually about 75% more than she expected from the valuation. And when I said earlier to you, I said, sometimes you get a hug and these are the good days. And she really gave me a hug and she was, crying that we can't sell it this way. And then, once I gave a value, she signed. And then, we listed this really fast. Within 48 hours, it was listed and in on different websites and different places. And got 3 offers. Actually, the offer that she signed on was done yesterday. She signed the offer yesterday, and it's already in the lawyer's hand. And gonna meet with the buyer at 3:00 for some due diligence in the location, and hopefully we close within 3 weeks. So that will be, for me, that's pretty fast. For any business, pretty fast. Businesses don't close the way homes do. Our selling cycle is a little bit longer because some due diligence, if there's an SBA loan, takes time as well. With this one, the buyer became a cash buyer, which makes it easy. And now she's going to be able to go with her mom outside the country in January, which she didn't expect to go. So for me, these are the reasons we do this. It's not the size of the ticket, because if you do right, business will come to you. So I really believe in that. And these are the good days, Lee.
So do you have a niche that you serve, or do you work with all kinds of businesses? Like, are you good with medical, or you're good with professional services or manufacturing, brick and mortar? Like, do you have a specialty, or any business is a good business for you?
Yeah, all of it is good business for you, but I'm going to answer in 2 ways. One of them, I had an opportunity to work abroad for 5 years as a head strategist for a big group, big conglomerate. We had 7 sectors, 84 companies, and my job was strategy for them. Part of it is exit strategy, merger acquisition work. So I literally worked in every sector very heavily for 5 years. So that kind of got me involved in things that just never, even minerals and mines and oil. So when I started this, I was very well versed in most most fields. So I'm pretty comfortable in all of them. So to ask the question differently, every business has a profit and loss statement. Every business sells based on net profit minus all the add backs that they have. So the valuation for us may be a little bit different from one thing to another. But at the end of the day, if you do your homework, you can get to the bottom line of valuation. And if you have a good marketing team, you can market it to the right group.
So if somebody wants to learn more, have a more substantive conversation with you or somebody on your team, is there a website? Is there the best way to connect?
Yeah, they can connect through our website. We'd love to have them out over at our office. Our offices are in Dunwoody, Sand Springs area, so beautiful offices. Or they can reach us at vrbizworld.com. We have a contact me. We're no pressure firm. Again, like I said, you do well, you get your business, you get your what's coming to you. So VR Bizworld, VRBIZWORLD is our website.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story today. You're doing such important work, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, Lee. Appreciate you. You're doing a great job, by the way.
Thank you. All right, this is Lee Cantor. We'll see you all next time on Atlanta Business Radio.